Welcome, my lords, to the Well-Earned Comforts Podcast. I'm Sam.
And I'm Seth.
Thank you for joining us on the Walls of Isengard as we explore the many works of Tolkien and, of course, discuss life. We're glad to have you as part of the fellowship, as there's no telling where we'll be swept off to. And it's been a little while since Seth and I have been swept off to anything, as there's been a big change in the life of my own life. Seth's been really busy with work and school and another work as well, and we'll get into all that in the Babbling like Butterbur here in just a second. So I'll just jump in with you, Seth. I'm going to check in first for you. What is new? How you doing? Are you just growing something here, or what's going on in your face there?
I mean, if you're jumping right to that, I don't work until tomorrow. I had today off, and so it comes in a little bit. You know, this is about as bad as it can get. Kind of hits a screeching halt and then gets a little patchy, but no, I'll be freshly shaven for work tomorrow. Don't you worry.
Okay, I wasn't sure if you're trying to get a head start on No Shave November or something. You know, trying to look good or what, but.
No, not even a little bit. We all know how that would turn out. That's a thing.
Steven, for whatever reason, is the only one.
Well, that's just because he's been growing it out for 6 years or whatever.
Hey, he committed to it.
Everybody up here in Michigan has like a great beard. I don't know if it's like the heritage or just the fact that it's a colder climate, but everybody up here has a great beard, and then all my coworkers make fun of me for it because I just can't grow.
I've heard the wives' tale of mustard on the chest. You maybe could give that a try. Just smear mustard on your chest. Actually, that's for chest hair. I guess you'd smear mustard on your face.
It's like, what are you even talking about?
I don't even know.
Oh,
all right, how you doing? What is new? I mean, you like I said, you've been real busy, but what's going on?
Well, nothing anywhere near what you've been doing. But I have recently started up school again, which is a lot. And I also started up another job, which is basically like picking up an extra 12-hour shift a week. So I'm really working kind of like 4 12s and then starting school on top of that. So just assignments all the time. And especially with this new job, I'm actually having to grade students and teach them in clinical and understand things from their perspective. I can teach it the way I would at work, but that's different than how you're going to teach a nursing student.
Sure.
It's a lot more work than I initially thought it was going to be, but I think once I get in the groove of everything, I think it'll get a little bit better. But as a whole, it's not terrible. Just busy.
Is that something you can do online, or how are you teaching them in person?
It's in person. I'm a clinical instructor, so we go to clinical sites with them, and then I also teach them in their skills lab.
Is that the same hospital where you work at?
No, it's for a school out here in Michigan. It's actually the same school that I am going to school at. So because
right.
Yeah, because I'm an employee there now, technically I get a good discount on tuition. So
nice.
We're just trying to get through another degree with as little debt as possible.
Yeah, good call. Good call.
But anyways,
speaking of that,
go ahead.
Yep, sorry. I beat you to the transition. I apologize. But speaking of tuition, I am finishing up a class today, and then I have 2 more classes till my bachelor's, which I'm going to take both at the same time. Get that knocked out. November 5th is when I should be receiving my bachelor's. Long time coming, but finally should get it. So
you've been working on that for years.
Yeah, it's been a slow roll, but I mean, I don't really need it for any reason, but it's just going to be nice to have for the future, depending on whatever I decide to do. But that's not the really important news I'm talking about here. I'm talking about a brand new halfling or octoling, whatever. He's tiny. He's very, very small.
Yeah, keep trying on that one.
Yeah, Baron Paul Moldenhauer was born on Friday, August 18th. 7 pounds, 5 ounces, just the best thing in the world. It's been such an awesome opportunity to raise him and just see what it's like to jump into parenthood, something that you've already done, something that obviously people in our lives have already done and survived, but I was very, very scared to do so. But obviously jumping into it has been such a blessing. Getting to see Ariel with him. She's such a good mom, and the way that she loves him and cares for him. And, you know, those 2 a.m., 4 a.m. feedings and stuff, she's just perks right up, gets him. I mean, maybe not perks right up, but she's, yeah, she's up and ready to go with him, and just always gracious to him. And it's been a lot of fun. It's obviously still in that stage. He's 3 weeks old. So, you know, still in that stage of just eat, sleep, poop, and cry when I need something, which I've quickly realized his needs are vastly more important than mine, and anything that I feel like I quote unquote need, specifically like around like working out and exercise and stuff. I've still been doing what I can. Oftentimes I'll just like run around the neighborhood to get something. Aaron and I went to the gym actually today. We took him with us. Our gym owner is so cool. He's like, yeah, I don't care. Like bring him over. Just keep him in the car seat. And so I was doing squats, and he's off probably 7 feet away from me in the corner, away from everybody. But on my last set, and I just hear him start crying. I'm like, crap. Like a little distracting as I'm got 315 pounds on my back, but no big deal. But yeah, it's been such a fun time parenting and just getting into that.
Yeah, it's kind of cool. We started the podcast a while back, when even a fair amount, I believe, before Amanda got pregnant. And so we kind of went through Amanda's pregnancy and me stepping into fatherhood, and now all of Ariel's pregnancy and you stepping into fatherhood. It's kind of cool to like have little timestamps, I guess, on this podcast of those moments. But what was your initial reaction with, I'm not going to get too graphic, but as soon as that head popped out and just like leapt out at you, what went through your mind in that very split second that you realized
this is just an absolute
there?
miracle?
Yeah.
This is just an absolute miracle. I was thinking to myself, like, there's no way anyone can't believe in a divine creator right now, because like how this whole, I mean, I could barely see because there was so many tears in my face. Like I was wiping away tears as I was seeing this thing pop out of her, like, because she's she's grunting and pushing, like she's exerting so much physical pain because the epidural had already wore off by the time she started pushing. And so like she's in pain, and it's just, obviously, like you said, there's a lot of graphics to it, but just the sight itself as his head starts popping out, and he came out. He had actually the cord around his neck. Oh, wow. Thankfully, it wasn't anything too scary. But the doctor, like, she caught him and then just like started spinning him around to get the cord out of his neck. And I was like, "What is happening? Like, why are you doing this to my child?" But as soon as she did that, she like laid him right on Ariel's chest, and at that moment, it was just tears streaming down my face. I'm like, "This is amazing, absolute miracle." Like I just, time stood still in a weird way.
Yeah.
Like nothing else mattered. I couldn't think of anything else other than like, you're here. I've waited so long for you. I've wondered what you've looked like. I've been so excited to meet you. All I've been feeling were the kicks on the stomach. I had no real, I mean, for the guy, at least, there's not a whole lot of connection to it until it's out. Like, obviously I loved him. I knew he was coming. I was excited for him, but to actually see him, to hold his little hands, and to make him scream, because you have to make him cry right away. That's what they did. They like kind of like rubbed his back till he started crying, and just seeing that happen, like, oh man, it was
just a random aside. Do you know the reason they make him cry?
It's so that it can start breathing, right?
In a way,
they figure out like they need to breathe out instead of like the amniotic fluid, it's actual oxygen they're trying to breathe in, right?
Kind of. I mean, they practice breathing through, quite frankly, drinking their own pee while in utero. But the screaming, the increase in pressure when they scream actually shuts off the fetal circulation and makes it so that their lungs are now activated. Because if you think about it, they're breathing in fluid in utero because their lungs are not functional yet. But now you need the blood supply to, instead of bypassing the lungs, you need to re-divert it to the lungs. And when they scream, the first couple seconds of life, the body actually kicks in and blocks off that pathway that it was using, and now the lungs are active. It's actually a pretty remarkable thing.
Yeah, see, again, there's just so much there that this is divine. Like, there's no other way to explain this. This is just such an incredible thing. So yeah, it was awesome, and that was after 33 hours of labor for her too. So like we were exhausted. We had hardly slept at all. She was in so much pain and
Yeah.
discomfort, and we'd been in that hospital forever. And so to see it finally come to fruition, like the culmination point, it was like, yes, here we are. Like it was just so much sweeter.
I bet. I'm thrilled for you guys. I can't wait to meet him. Like the pictures that you keep sending us and just posting, to the group, the family group chat. I was like, a lot of babies really are not that cute. Obviously, I thought Evelyn was the most beautiful thing in the world, but
Yeah,
she was
yeah.
also my kid. But it's like a lot of babies just kind of look like aliens, and he's still got a little
Mhm.
bit of that. But it's like, you know what? He's actually a cute little baby. He
Yeah,
really is. He's a good looking kid.
absolutely. I was a little nervous about that. I was like, if he's gonna be ugly, will I actually believe he's ugly, or like, will I believe he's because it's my kid, Because
Yeah.
I've seen people like, oh, he's the most beautiful thing in the world. I'm like, he's ugly. I'll give it up,
Yeah. I'm glad you feel that way about your
but
child. You're wrong, but I'm glad you
yeah,
feel that way.
exactly. So I'm glad I don't have to feel like the if then, because you're not the only person to tell us that. Everyone is saying he's such a beautiful boy. I'm like, yes, he is. He looks like his mom, but yes, he's very, very handsome, if you will. But
Indeed, he is. That's awesome. I'm so happy for you guys.
yeah, thanks, man. I can't wait for him to meet all the cousins and get to hang out with Evelyn, like we saw
Oh
in
yeah,
Michigan. Just with all, I mean, that's gonna be so much fun just watching them interact together. But
for sure.
yeah, that's probably plenty of babbling. I could keep going on and on for days about how amazing my wife is and how awesome it is having a son. But let's jump into some riddles in the dark for y'all. If you're new to the podcast, it's the segment or I guess podcast or YouTube channel at this point. A segment where we take our 3-in-1 Lord of the Rings book and find some dialogue to try to stump the other person with, to see if we can figure out who's talking, what part of the book, and the context in that. So, without further ado, let's see if Seth can find something faster than he did the last time.
I can because my brain was randomly thinking about a part of the books earlier, and so I was like, oh, I'm going to use this today. So it's not completely random.
Wow.
But
you're cheating. I see.
Yeah, a little bit. So I'll give you. Are you still looking?
I got something. That's good.
All right, you go first, and then I'll hit you with it.
Oh, you want me to go? Okay. Okay. Let's see. Let's start from this. His message is less bad than I thought, if not good, he said. He says that if you would prefer it to standing on my head, you might show me around the city.
Ah. That is when Pippin is talking, and I always forget this kid's name. He's the son of the you're about
I was gonna say I'll give you points if you I'll give you points if you know his dad's name.
It's not like it's like Beligund or Baragund or something like that. Isn't it?
Baragond, yeah.
Baragond. Okay, I was like, I know it's close. What is his name? I forget that little kid. That's actually one of my favorite scenes of that book because like the way Tolkien describes it, like the kid gets a light of like fire in his eyes, like he's being challenged, and Pippin tries to scare him, and he actually does, and he's like, but don't also believe what you hear from everybody.
Yep. Yeah, no, Pippin laughed. Don't believe what strangers say of themselves either. I am not a fighter, but it would be politer in any case for the challenger to say who he is. The boy drew himself up proudly. I am Burgle.
Burgle.
Son of Baragond.
Okay.
Or Burgle. I think it's Burgle.
Burgle, son of Baragond?
Yeah, Baragond.
Okay. I can never remember that guy's name. I don't know why, but there's like a mental block there. All right.
I love that part too. I get why, again, Peter Jackson couldn't keep it in there. It's just a lot to add on to a 4-hour movie already, but that's a really fun segment there.
It's such a fun scene in the books. I love it. Okay. Part of me wants to use this guy's name because there's zero chance you're gonna get it.
Such little faith. Wow.
All right.
Nah, just give it to me. I'll
give it to you. I'm gonna be real impressed if you get this. All right. Do you remember the wild man's words, Lord? Said another. I live upon the open wold in days of peace. Blank is my name, and to me also the air brings messages. Already the wind is turning. There's a breath that comes out of the south, and there's a sea tang in it, faint though it may be. The morning will bring new messages. Above the reek it will be dawn when you pass the wall.
Hanbury Han?
Nope.
No. Okay, I wasn't sure. The Wild Man got me there on that.
He's
one.
referencing the Wild Man's words, which Han Bully Han would be, or Gon Bully Gon, or however you say it, would be the Wild Man that he's referencing.
Okay. I'm trying to think. I mean, obviously, the King Theoden was the one who went through that with Aemir and Dernhelm. Is it Dernhelm?
No.
No. Okay.
It's literally it's the only time in the entire books that this guy's mentioned. He's like one of those characters that Tolkien gives a name to just because he can't be like he said about some random guy. He has to actually give him a name.
Oh, sure. Shoot. Well, so it's Return of the King is the third book. So the Wild Man, that would be past tense. So I got nothing. Yeah.
That's right. What about the context?
He's talking about like the words of them as they're approaching the gate. So would that be the Ride of the Rohirrim as like the chapter name?
Yep.
When they're on their way, they had to pass through the wild because they went forward. They're like spies, and they're like, "Hey, we know, like, we can go through and see what's going on." And then they come back and tell them like the siege, what's happening at Minas Tirith.
Yeah, I remember.
So
they take that secret passageway that Han Bully Han shows them through? Yeah. So you've got the context perfectly. The reason you can't get this guy's name is it's Weedfara.
What?
I don't know why, but I was thinking about this part earlier. I haven't even listened to the books for a while, but the way it's read in the audiobook, like the way this scene is spoken, I guess the voice that the narrator uses for this guy is just so like it sticks in my head really well. And I was like, his name's Wildfara or something like that. And I was like, I gotta find out his name. So I wouldn't even have gotten that. I would have gotten close, but I would not have gotten that.
So is he talking to Theoden then at that point?
Yeah, he is. He's just like speaking up about like, hey, it's what he's referencing. He's like, there's a sea tang in it. And Tolkien doesn't explicitly say this, but he's referencing Aragorn.
Yeah. So is that just another Rohirrim then, or is it one of the Wildmen? He's
just one of the Rohirrim, I think. Probably one of the guys in Theoden's guard.
Gotcha.
But he also has to introduce himself, so I don't know.
Fair enough. Yeah, that always happens. I feel like Tolkien's got so many of those just like random characters. I love how he names them all though. You know, it's not just like the random, rider of the guard or guard. Yeah, he gives them a name and an identity, and I'm sure if we looked him up, we could actually find more history on him and where he comes from and all that kind of stuff. But
right.
Yeah.
I don't know that there is much on that guy, but yeah. All right. So moving forward, Sam and I didn't really have any lore as we jump into the meat and potatoes here. We didn't really have any lore to talk about because we've been so busy trying to figure out life on both our fronts. And so we're just going to have some fun with today. I found a quiz here. It's 32 questions long, but it'll go pretty quick. It's kind of a rapid fire quiz that I'm going to put Sam through. And then we also found some Lord of the Rings FAQs that will kind of give our own ideas on some of them and just explain them from our own perspectives.
Did you know it took me until probably senior year of high school?
Don't say what you're about to say. Don't admit
FAQs means frequently asked questions and not like a fax you send to people. I thought it was just like part of a fax you send people because dad would always fax stuff over to people, and I just
there's a difference between a Q and an X.
Well, I know that. I don't know. I assumed it was the same thing.
Did you say senior year?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, we'll just move on. All right.
Appreciate you trying to keep my pride.
So this quiz is broken down. It's broken out into different sections. First one is simple, and it says, as simple as life gets in the Shire. Intermediate should be fine for real fans. Advanced is tougher than Uruk-hai armor. And impossible is one question, and it says a trivia question fit for the Dark Lord. And it's actually a really easy trivia question, so you better get it.
Okay.
All right, so these are in reference to the movies, from what I could gather, more so than the books. So, question number
Okay.
1.
All right.
Which 2 members of the Fellowship are cousins?
That would be Mariodoc Brandybuck and Peregrine Took.
Correct.
But they're
Gimli.
also cousins to Frodo. So I don't know if that's
Well
what
done.
they're referring to.
Nope, you got it correct, but I was wondering if you had mentioned that. Well done.
Thank
What
you.
is Gimli's father's name?
Gimli, son of Gloin.
There you go. What is Sam's profession?
He's a gardener.
A gardener. What king refused to throw the ring into Mount Doom?
Isildur!
This is fun. Who is the king of Rohan?
King Theoden.
What is the name of Sauron's sidekick / assistant?
Grima Wormtongue.
And real quick, I'm going to interrupt. That is correct. There's this guy on Twitter that I absolutely love his Twitter account. It's Middle Earth Mixer. You've probably started following him, but he's a Tolkien, I don't know, anonymous account on Twitter. And anytime somebody comes at him with like a horrible opinion, he uses the 6-second video clip of Theoden and Aragorn and everybody throwing Grima down the stairs. And he doesn't give any context at all. Like, he just quote tweets them with the video of him tossing Grima down the stairs. I just love it.
That's amazing.
All right. What is the name of Frodo's sword?
Sting.
Bingo. What monster does Gandalf the Grey fight in Mines of Moria?
He fights multiple monsters, but I believe what the thing we're looking for here is the Balrog of Morgoth.
That is correct. What is the name of Sauron's fortress?
That would be Isengard, and the tower is Orthanc.
I like it. Taking it to the next level. All right, so you've passed simple as life in the Shire. So you passed that. Good. We're moving on to intermediate here. This is
all right.
Another 10 questions of intermediate. What is the name of Sauron's tower?
Barad-dûr.
I shouldn't nod before you're finished.
No, I was like, I don't know. I haven't
even looked at the answers, so I just know that these are correct. What is Frodo's undershirt made from?
Mithril, which is also what I named one of my cars. I since got rid of it because it was not as strong as actual Mithril.
Which car? Because all your cars have been, they all break down.
It was the Lexus GX, like the 4Runner one.
Yeah, because it kind of looked like Mithril. I'll give you that.
Yeah, but then it started peeling like crazy, and so it was like definitely not the same.
This is one that if you've ever watched Lord of the Rings with anybody who likes Lord of the Rings will have mentioned to you, but what bone
broke his toe.
Yeah. Didn't even have to ask the question.
So bad. That's very telling. Golly. Aragorn broke his toe. Or Viggo Mortensen, rather.
Viggo Mortensen, yes.
Toe.
The Shire has been made into a tourist town. What is the name of that town?
Hobbiton.
Of what race does Aragorn belong to?
The race of men, descendant of Numenor, Dunedain. So
there you go. All right.
I don't know if that's all.
Man of the West? No, it's just man. Who is the father of Faramir and Boromir?
The father of Faramir and Boromir is Denethor, son of Icthelion.
Yeah, I believe he's actually.
Why do you?
Because I want to say he's Denethor the second, but I don't know for sure.
But he's son of Icthelion.
He is, yes. But
so how is he Denethor the second?
Because Tolkien reuses names. There's actually a Denethor.
There's an Icthelion earlier on, and there's a Thingol earlier on.
Yeah, true. Maybe that's a good point. Maybe I'm off on that. I could be. What animal did Sam always want to see?
What animal? Oh, yeah. Oliphant. Sorry. Yeah. I was thinking like Bill the Pony for some reason. I was gonna try to jump the question because he said like, what animal did Sam? And I was like, Bill the Pony.
Yeah, close. How many rings were made for men, dwarves, and elves?
Altogether, you have, I think it's 20 because there's 9 for men, there's 7 for dwarves, 3 for the elves, and then obviously 1 ring to rule them all.
1 ring to rule them all. All right. What forest is the home of Treebeard and the other Ents?
So you pronounce this Fangorn? I've always thought it was Fangorn.
I'm looking at a map. I don't know. Fangorn? The G is in the middle. It's
Fangorn.
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 Fanghorn?
Yeah, Fangorn.
I don't know. That just sounds wrong to me.
Fanghorn? There's no H though. I don't
know. I mean, I don't know. We'll move on. What river city is Faramir sent to defend?
Oh, poor Osgiliath.
What's a fun fact about Osgiliath?
It was...
There's a couple of them.
Yeah. It was hit really, really hard by the plague in the Third Age.
Okay.
The Great Plague.
Sure.
It was also constructed by... I actually don't know. Is that the fact you're looking for?
No, it was actually the capital of Gondor before Sauron really started taking form again. It was the capital, and then it was too close to Mordor, so they backed up to the walls of Minas Tirith, which means Tower of Guard.
Wow.
All right, well done. So you are 20 for 20 at this point. Advanced tougher than Uruk-hai armor. So this is movie version here. What is the name of the Uruk-hai lieutenant that kills Boromir?
Lurtz.
Yeah, is he even a
but
character?
He doesn't ever actually.
Books?
I don't think so. No.
But
they don't even say Lurtz in the movie either.
Yeah, I don't know.
He's never given a name.
Right. Maybe like if you had subtitles on or something, it would say Lurtz. Like, the subtitles would. We just know that because of the trading card game.
Lord of the Rings cards. Yeah.
Here's a good one. Who is the only Lord of the Rings cast member to have met J.R.R. Tolkien?
That's Christopher Lee, Sir Christopher Lee, who's also knighted and probably killed plenty of people, apparently.
Apparently, yes.
In his days of the Special Forces of Britain or whatever.
Yeah, it's kind of wild that he corrected Peter Jackson. He's like, yeah, it's not what somebody sounds like when they get stabbed in the back. Oh.
It's like, oh, okay. Yep,
Never mind then. Never mind.
Take it your way.
This is actually a good one. And I believe this is movies. Let me double check on the answers. Yes, this is movies. Okay. Name all the gifts that Galadriel gives the Fellowship members as they leave Lothlorien.
Just the movies version. So we have the bow of the Galadrim to Legolas, the 2 little daggers to Merry and Pippin. You have rope, elven rope to Sam. You have the light Erendil to Frodo. 3 strands of hair to Gimli. I know Aragorn gets they all get cloaks, I guess. Yeah. They all get elven cloaks. Don't know about Boromir. I don't think he doesn't get anything in the book or in the movies.
No, he doesn't. That's a good point. That's actually a really good point.
Yeah, they just kind of skip over him in the movies. Let's see.
You actually got you fulfilled the answer there. I'm pretty sure in the movies, and I could be wrong, but doesn't she give Aragorn a sheath for the dagger that he uses to kill Lurtz?
Hand off. Yeah. The little, when he's like saying you're being hunted, he gives him like this little dagger thing.
Yeah. Oh, so maybe it wasn't Galadriel that gave it to him then. If that's the case, was it Celeborn? Yeah, it was
Celeborn.
Oh, okay. Yep. Okay. Nice. Okay. Nice. All right. How does Sauron communicate with Sauron?
Through the Palantir, seeing stones.
Indeed. Okay. I'm just gonna throw this one in here. Name the 2 seeing stones. One of them would be easy because it's the one Sauron uses. It's called the Orthanc stone.
Oh, okay. Orthanc stone.
But how did Sauron get one?
Bardur.
Why would the Numenorians give him one? How did he get it?
Hmm.
I'm just
Good
throwing this
question.
random one in here to make it a little bit harder because this is too easy of a quiz.
Does he? Does he steal it?
Well, yeah, obviously. I don't think it was a gift.
Okay, well then that's your answer. He stole it.
No. Which stone is it?
Oh, I don't know.
Gandalf in the book speculates that it is the Minas Ithil stone, which becomes
Okay.
Minas Morgul when the Witch King
Yeah,
takes it over.
yeah. Okay. So actually, this is really interesting because I mean, maybe just interesting to me, but I've been playing. So Shadow of Mordor is a PlayStation game you can play, and it's kind of this made up kind of lore based off of obviously Tolkien lore in between the destruction of like in the Third Age. So after Sauron is defeated by Isildur, but before all the events of Lord of the Rings. So then there's Shadow of Mordor, and then there's Shadow of War, and right now I'm playing in Minas Ithil, and I have to find the Palantir and keep it safe from Sauron, who's trying to take it, which is actually kind of interesting. I was like, oh, this. So
that's a fun.
I guess I should have known that. I didn't know if that was actually legit or not, because there's some like they're using like Shelob as kind of an Ungoliant character, like she can shapeshift into like this like dark-haired woman, like she's like kind of the I don't know, like, but then she can transform into a big old spider and stuff.
Yeah.
So it's actually a really interesting storyline. So that's a quick side.
Yeah, no, that's interesting. It's cool that a game like that is quite frankly fan fiction still, ties in a little bit. This is one that I probably wouldn't get. How many Academy Awards did The Return of the King win?
17.
That was a very quick answer. It's wrong.
What?
11.
No. Sorry. 17 is the total number of the trilogy.
Oh, really?
I'm pretty sure. I think.
See, I never have paid attention to any of that stuff, so I would have no idea. But it says the answer is 11 for The Return.
Oh, boy. Okay, so yeah, I guess I didn't get that one.
All right, this is a freebie. Who composed the music?
Oh, my man, Howard Shore.
It's my study music every time I study. All right. What food does Frodo forget the taste of as he travels through Mordor?
I mean, there's strawberries and cream on the ruins of Mount Doom.
Yeah, it's strawberries. Yeah. Okay. Well done. What is a meeting of the Ents called?
An Entmoot.
An Entmoot. I like it. And then Aragorn has two other names in Lord of the Rings. What are they?
Elisar and Strider.
Nice. Can you think of any others that he is called? I can think of two off the top of my head besides those. And I think there's more. He has a lot of names.
Yeah. No, I can't think of any. I mean, I'm sure I'll recognize them once you tell me.
You will. Estelle.
Oh yeah, duh.
Which is what Arwen
from the Arwen
calls him, and it's also his mom gave him that name. But Estelle means hope, so it's a very fitting name for Aragorn. The other I can think of is Thorongil.
That's when he rode with Theoden, right?
No, I believe it's actually when he rode with Ecthelion and Denethor got jealous.
Oh yeah, because he got jealous of him. That's okay.
Yep. And there's one more name. Wait, there might be two more. Oh, well, boy. I guess so. Telkentar is Strider in Quenya, I believe, or maybe in Sindarin, actually. So maybe that counts as Strider. But I feel like there's one more. I don't know. Just making it more fun. Let's see. All right. So you have passed so far all the way through advanced. This is one question. It says impossible. A trivia question fit for the Dark Lord, and you're going to get it immediately. What is the name of the horse that rescues Aragorn in the Two Towers?
I won't get it immediately.
Don't fail me.
It's
Oh my,
Sorry, I remember this because it's so close to Prego, the spaghetti sauce.
or your wife.
Well, yeah, when she was pregnant, yes. Brago,
Yes.
is the horse's name, Brago. But
Well
yeah,
done.
I always associated it with Prego,
That's
the
fair.
spaghetti sauce.
That's fair.
Well, that was fun. I guess I only missed one, which wasn't even really a Tolkien lore question, so I'll be alright with that.
I mean, let's see. There was 32 total questions, so 31 out of 32. Pretty good odds there. Well done.
Every time I've played like Lord of the Rings trivia, and I've only done it twice, at like a brewery or whatever.
Where do you find that? Because like, how do you find that breweries are because I want to do this so bad.
Yeah, so like periodically I'll just like look it up, see like Lord of the Rings trivia near me. But I did see one because I'll follow some breweries on like Facebook or Instagram, and they'll post like, "Oh, we're doing Lord of the Rings trivia." Um, but again, it's only been twice since I've been able to drink, being 21 years old. So
Yeah.
it's only twice in 5 years that I've been able to find it. But yeah, I did it. The first one I did with Nate and Ariel. That was a lot of fun. And we won second place because we didn't get the actor's name, Awen,
Oh,
for the
Miranda
movies.
Otto. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, we didn't get that one or Grima. I didn't know who the actor was for Grima.
I don't know Grima's.
Yeah, I was like, I don't know, like, but everything else we hit perfectly. Like we nailed it. And then the other one we got first place. It was a tie for first place, and then the last question was how many years from Isildur to Bilbo picking up the ring was the tiebreaker for first place.
Probably like
and
1,500.
2,500.
2.5. Okay.
I remember in the prologue, Galadriel's whole like for 2,500 years.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Okay. That's fair.
So.
Huh.
It was like whoever gets closest. It was like 2,586 or something like that. But
interesting.
Yeah.
Man, that
was
sounds
also a
fun.
good time.
That sounds like a lot of fun, though.
It was fun. Yeah.
Cool. All right. So we're gonna move forward into some of these frequently asked questions. Just kind of some random ones that we. Oh shoot! I just opened up some software. I clicked the wrong link. Camera's gonna go away, and we're back. All right. They're both purple. So
I don't know what you're talking about right now.
That's okay. The icons that I was opening, I was trying to open up OneNote where we keep our notes, and I accidentally opened up Clipchamp, which is the editing that I use, and because they are both purple and look similar, and I have them right next to each other, because of course. Anyways, all right. So first up here, this is a frequently asked question. Do Balrogs have wings, and can they fly? What's your opinion on that?
I mean, every artist depiction you've seen, including so it's kind of funny. So we see wings in the Peter Jackson version of Balrogs. The Balrog doesn't use the wings, so he doesn't. It doesn't seem like he can fly. Obviously, since he fell downward, I feel like you could also make a case that he can't fly. But in the animated Lord of the Rings, I forget the guy who directed that. But anyway, he does have wings, and he does kind of float with the wings. But he still ends up falling. So I would say, I don't know. I'm trying to remember any kind of description of the Balrogs from Tolkien. I kind of wonder if it's more so like it's different from Balrog to Balrog, or if they're not all the exact same.
Yeah, I don't really know. Based on my knowledge, I don't think they had wings. I think that's kind of like a little stretch that Peter Jackson made, and which is a frequent mistake, because let me just read you a couple of things here. In describing the Balrog, the shadow about it reached out like two vast wings. And then there's another part where the Balrog stepped forward slowly on the bridge, and suddenly it drew itself up to a great height, and its wings were spread from wall to wall. So when you hear those two back to back, you think, oh, the shadow was stretched across like two big wings, and then when it stepped up onto the bridge, that shadow cast from wall to wall. I think that's what Tolkien meant.
Gotcha.
As opposed to his like taking it literally and saying his wing.
Yeah, I gotcha.
But there's another passage in the Silmarillion where the Balrogs flee after the death of Morgoth, and Tolkien says that swiftly they arose and they passed with winged speed over Hithlum.
So it is confusing.
I think it makes sense why people would misinterpret that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, people also too wonder, because Peter Jackson's Balrog is ginormous.
Yeah.
But they weren't actually that big, right? Like they were. I mean, same with like Ents. They weren't that large as Peter Jackson put them. They were like 12 feet tall. If I remember
to
correctly.
Be fair, most of the time, well, I guess not always, but most of the time you're seeing the Ents. It's like in contrast with hobbits.
Well, yeah, sure. So they got to look massive. Yeah.
But yeah, I think they are like 12 to 14 feet tall, which out here in Michigan, our trees are freaking massive. They're like 30, 40 feet tall. So
right.
It's like, yeah, maybe the Ents weren't really as big as you think. Right. And I don't know about the size of the Balrogs. I don't think they're maybe as big as in Peter Jackson's version, but
yeah, that's fair.
So I don't know. I Tolkien doesn't explicitly say if they had wings or not, and therefore I think it's up to the reader to decide. However, the way I interpret that is probably not. All right.
It is interesting the amount of detail that he puts into that and how it can be, again, taken either way. If you want them to have wings, I guess they can have wings. But yeah, there's nothing explicit that says they fly around everywhere, but
right. Yeah. It's an interesting thought. All right, next FAQ that we're going to talk about here, and quite frankly, this would be a fun podcast idea down the road to actually put a lot of research into. But who was Tom Bombadil?
Yeah. That would be a lot of fun. There's a lot of people that have done a bunch of like either podcasts or YouTube videos on him and the mystery and the speculation of him. Who he was as a title is just eldest. Right. I mean, that's kind of how he introduces himself to.
He does introduce himself
before all beings or something like that.
What do they call him in the Council of Elrond? He calls himself, or they call him like Eonwe Benadist or something like that, meaning oldest and fatherless. I believe it is. They talk about him in the Council of Elrond chapter. Yeah, but yeah, he does introduce himself as eldest to the hobbits in the Old Forest. So I'm not too sure.
Yeah.
But what do you think? Who do you think he is?
I would love to think that he is, and I don't necessarily know if this, I don't necessarily believe this is true, but I would love to think that he's Iluvatar hanging out in his own world. And I think because Tolkien, so two things, either Iluvatar kind of hanging out, having a little bit of influence on his world, kind of as a person, or to go real meta on you here, it's Tolkien himself.
What?
He put himself in his book as Tom Bombadil. I mean, you think about it, he's got him and Goldberry, and I mean, his wife is everything to him. He loves all living things and animals, and he's singing songs all the time. He's creating poetry, and he has this like incredible magic that is unexplained and is honestly overpowered when you think about it. I don't think Tolkien would do that, but I think it'd be kind of cool for him to be like, yeah, this is me in the story, and I'm just kind of having fun in my own world. I don't know.
So that's interesting, and I've thought about that too. I like the idea that he's Eru, kind of like you said, like he's there in this world that he sang it into. I mean, with the help of the Valar, but he sang it in. Right, it was his power that brought the world together. Even though the Valar, sang about what they wanted in the world, it was still his power. The only thing that gives me pause with that theory is, again, in the Council of Elrond, when they're talking about him, because they're like, oh, maybe we should have invited him here. And then they're like, oh, maybe we should. Yeah, well, they say that. And then they're also like, well, if the ring has no power over him, like, let's just take take the ring, or no, they say
give
they
it to
say
him.
he has power over the ring, and they're like, I wouldn't say that. I'd say the ring doesn't have any power over him.
Yeah.
But they're like, but we can't get back and give it to him. And they say, and if all else falls, he will fall as well. And I think it's Gandalf. It might be Elrond that says he will fall last as he was first. So that would imply that he would die, right? If Sauron takes over all of Middle Earth, he would fall. Granted, he'd fall last, but I don't think Eru would fall to one of his lesser beings.
That's a great point. Yeah. Not intentionally anyway. Or yeah, I don't think that's possible.
Yeah, so that's the only thing that I like that theory a lot, especially because he sings so much and all that. The other thing is, okay, well then if that is Eru, who the heck is the river daughter? Like, where did Goldberry come from? You know, was he just like, hey, I need somebody?
I
don't know.
It's not fit for man to live alone, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm gonna create for myself a little
I'm not gonna lie.
That's what
go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, welcome to online talking.
Yeah.
I was just gonna say, I really like your theory that I had never heard the theory that Tolkien inserted himself into the story, but I kind of like that because if you think about it, Tom Bombadil literally adds nothing to the story at all except questions. The only thing he adds to the story is questions. And so it's like,
which is very Tolkien esque. Yeah,
it is. It's just adding depth where there doesn't necessarily need to be depth, that doesn't push the story forward in any way, shape, or form. But at the same time, it's an awesome part of the book. I love that part of the book.
Yeah, it's super fascinating. And again, like you said, where does Goldberry come from? I mean, it very well could be like he's just like, yeah, this is me and Edith hanging out and in my universe that I created and spent so much time in my brain, you know. But I don't know if he would do that. That's the other thing.
Yeah.
Like, that doesn't really sound like his MO because that's kind of cheesy, you know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, it is, but then again, if you never tell anybody that that's what you're doing and people only speculate about it, it's like, it could just be a fun way to, you know, insert yourself, but you're not trying to take credit for anything, you know?
Yeah. Kind of like an artist who like hides their signature in their painting.
Yeah. You know? Yeah. That's actually.
Yeah.
Now you're making me think maybe Tolkien was hiding his signature of himself in his own. That would be next level. I like, where did you come up with that, or did you hear that somewhere?
I don't know where I heard it. It might have been, I know the Swole Hiram did a podcast on Tom Bombadil that I listened to, and I've also watched a couple different YouTube videos that other people have done. Like I think Nerd of the Rings did one. So, but I don't think it's a original thought, but
sure,
something that I've been thinking about whenever I think about Tom Bombadil.
I think the easiest theory is just that he's one of the Valar that decided to go down to Middle Earth at some point, probably at the very beginning of creation, maybe during the music. He was like, I like this place, I'm gonna sing myself down there, you know. Yeah. And then Goldberry could also be, you know, one of the female Valar, you know, married. They're often married, right? The Valar are, so yeah. And I know Tolkien mentions that there were some Valar that didn't go down that still partook in the singing and all this and that. So there were more Valar than I think there's 12 than the 12 that were, you know, that are mentioned in the Silmarillion. But prominent, yeah. I don't know. It's a fun one to speculate, but it would be a fun one to do some research on and come up, like, kind of get all the theories and discuss it. Yeah. All right, this one is kind of interesting. Who is older, Tom Bombadil or Treebeard? Because Celeborn calls Treebeard eldest when he talks to him, and then obviously, I mean, that, I guess it depends on when you think Tom Bombadil got to Middle Earth, because I imagine that Treebeard that's a good caveat. Sang into being during the time of the Valar, beginning. Right? At the very beginning with the music.
Yeah, I would say if you're going by Middle Earth timeline, it's probably Treebeard. He's been in Middle Earth longer, I would imagine. As far as like who's actually oldest, as far as who was created, I mean, again, it all goes back to who you think Tom Bombadil
True,
is, because if it is Tolkien himself, he's not that old.
True. That's a good point. And at one point too, doesn't Treebeard say something about there's trees in this forest, speaking of Fangorn, saying like there's trees in this forest that are older than I am. So I don't know.
Yeah, I don't remember that specifically, but you might be right.
Yeah. I don't know. That one's whatever. It's kind of a fun question, but not one I really care to spend too much time on.
I'm curious to hear your thoughts on this next one. Sorry to cut you off there, but so
go for it.
I know the reincarnation thing for elves is real. We've seen, like, who do we actually see of all the elves who comes back? So Glorfindel comes back. Finrod, does he come back? No. Okay. I'm trying to think of any others. You're giving me that smirk like, I know, you don't know.
No, he's the only one.
Is he the only one? Okay.
So, just to give a little backstory, when elves die, they are sent to the Halls of Mandos. Again, he's one of the Valar in Valinor, and he judges the souls of the people that were sent to him. And so, when an elf dies, he or she is sent to the Halls of Mandos, and then, assuming Mandos decides that they were good people and he doesn't need to hold them for a certain period of time to redeem some quality, they get to be reincarnated, but they go to Valinor. So like Finrod, if I'm remembering correctly, Finrod left his wife when he went from Valinor to Middle Earth, and then when he died, he got to rejoin with her. Okay. So he was reincarnated, but he never came back to Middle Earth.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So Glorfindel's the only one we know for sure that came back, at least if he's claiming that title as his name.
Yeah, and from what I have gathered from just reading about this in the past, I believe that Tolkien really liked the name Glorfindel, and in doing so, and again, he wasn't using Word, he was using a typewriter, not even really a typewriter, he was handwriting everything, and so papers are scattered here, scattered there, and he actually created two Glorfindels and then didn't realize that they were the same name because he liked the name, and then but he had story plotted out for both of them, and then was like, well, shoot, I really like the name, you know what, I'll just have him reincarnated. Do you remember how Glorfindel died originally?
Did he died fighting a Balrog, right?
Do you remember when?
Battle of not the Battle of Unnumbered Tears, the Battle of Sun and Flame, Dagor Bragollach. No,
I like how you said that. That was perfect. No, it was during the fall of Gondolin.
Oh yeah, that makes sense.
So it makes sense that Mandos would agree that he was, worthy of being reincarnated and sent back. Tolkien never says when he came back. Did he come back with the Istari? I don't know.
Yeah.
Kind of a fun one, but yes, the answer to that, are they the same? Yeah. Yep, it's the same one. I don't know if it was intentional to start or not, but there are indeed.
Yeah.
Next question. What is known of the other two wizards? Do you know anything there? What are their, like,
they're the blues.
The blue wizards. Yep.
Yeah, they're the two blue wizards. So this is really funny. In the Hobbit movies, when Bilbo asks Gandalf if there's other wizards, and he's like, there's Saruman the White, he's the head of our council, there's Radagast the Brown, and he says there's the two blueses, and he pauses and he goes, oh, I've quite forgotten their names, because Peter Jackson didn't have rights to to the blue wizards, and so he just like has that kind of pause and I'm like, I've quite forgotten their names. And they just leave it there. So he includes them, like, he admits that they're there. He just claims that Gandalf doesn't remember who they are.
Interesting. I actually like their names. They were both followers of Arome, and their names were Alatar and Palando.
That's cool.
Which I think are cool names.
Alatar and Palando.
Yeah.
didn't they like hold out in Rune for a long time?
Yeah. So the things that so if you read the Unfinished Tales, the two blue wizards, both of them go to Rune. They go east, right? Which Rune is to the east. Obviously, it's kind of north of Mordor, but that far east. And Tolkien doesn't really say much about him, but he says like maybe they took up kind of like Sauron did, where they started ruling over people and doing dark magic and teaching things and causing up, strife in them against other people. Like they forgot their purpose and went bad. But then I believe it's later in like some of Tolkien's letters that he said that they actually stayed true. We just don't know how they did, but they were stir up rebellion against Sauron. So it's like,
okay,
I guess it's a kind of an open-ended one.
Sure. It'd be cool to see. I mean, obviously they don't have a whole lot of like story behind them, but it'd be fun to see like even like a fan fiction where you say, hey, I like this is my idea for these characters, rather than trying to say, oh, this is Tolkien's work, like Rings of Power did, and create fan fiction that way. But if they like legitimately be like, this is fan fiction, this would be cool to see their travels and journeys and fights and stuff like that. I think that'd be kind of neat.
Well, I mean, and here we go on the Rings of Power crap again, but it's just like, instead of, okay, let's have Gandalf randomly show up. It's like, if they would have just done the two blue wizards, they could have come up with their own, they could have made it feel like Gandalf because they're a starry, blah, 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 kept you guessing maybe it is Gandalf, and who knows, they probably heard all this crap and they're like, oh, we're going to change the story because they figured it out. But I don't know, they could have taken the blue wizards and, like you said, done it just exactly what you said, showed their journeys, showed their what they did to fight against Sauron, all these different things. They could have done that, and they just decided not to.
Well, we don't know if it's Gandalf yet. We just have the nose thing. I think maybe all wizards have good noses. I think that's probably what they're maybe tricking us with. I don't know. It's kind of ridiculous. That whole, like, even just thinking back to it after we've gone through like Children of Hurin and again, rereading some of the stuff in The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings, I just look back at that and I'm like, what in the world were they thinking with this like mystery guy who couldn't talk for 7 or 8 episodes and all of a sudden like starts talking fluently because he defeated these wraith things that I'm like, where is this coming from? Tangent, sorry.
Yeah, no, it's a fine tangent. I watched a video of Men of the West on YouTube about the show, and he was pretty fair because he didn't like the show, but he basically said I gave it a lot of hate when it came out, and maybe it wasn't as deserved because I haven't even thought of the show since then. So his point was like, if a show's really good, I'm gonna keep talking about it, and if a show's really, really bad, I'm gonna keep talking about it. But it was just so bleh that I forgot about it, and I was like,
it's true. Yeah,
that's pretty accurate.
I've not thought about it hardly at all, and I think with how much hype it had coming out too, to just be completely leveled at this point. I mean, I'll still see things posted every once in a while like, oh, filming's finished for season 2 or whatever, but they completely lost any momentum they had. You think of other shows like The Last of Us that everyone was like super high on and they're excited for season 2 and ready for that, and there's just no excitement for this, I don't think. Even from the people who quote unquote liked it. Like, even if you did, you're not like sitting here waiting, oh, I can't wait till season 2. It's going to be amazing. It's like, you forgot it even existed.
Well, I mean, anytime you hear of like a really good show, the best advertising is always word of mouth, right? Like the initial marketing push is just to get people to watch it at the start. But then if the show's good enough, word of mouth will drive it through the charts, right?
Yeah.
Like you said, The Last of Us, or I don't know, I haven't watched many TV shows, but there's plenty of examples. Whereas with Rings of Power, only a third, based on the data that came out, only a third of the people that watched the first episode watched the last episode.
Continued. Wow.
A third of it. So instead of increasing, they decreased by 30 or by 60%.
33%. Oh yeah.
They only retained 33%. Yeah. So I don't know. Anyways, that's just a random side tangent.
Yeah, yeah, we could keep talking about that for a
Go
while,
for it.
but
Go
yeah,
for
let's
it.
move on to the
I
next
can.
one. This is
Well,
a
I can hate on Rings of Power
yeah,
all day.
we can do this for a while, but like you said, nobody cares at this point anyway, so there's no point in doing that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But this next question is really good. I've actually wondered this. Ariel asked me this, I think last time we were watching, and I was like, I don't think I have an answer to it.
Yeah. Well, what's the question?
I thought I was trying to like lead you into
You're
it.
setting me up. All right.
Like,
Are there
yeah.
any female orcs? So what did you tell Ariel?
I said I don't know how they reproduce. And obviously in the movies, Peter Jackson just has them like spawning out of the ground, like they're kind of being created like plants. Honestly, like they're being farmed.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do know that they talk about like this, like spawning a lot, and so if that's reproducing with a female orc, or if that's, I don't know. I know there's no like actual relationships. There's no pleasurable like male female relationship. If there is a female, all it is for is just spawning and reproducing, kind of like you would, I don't know, schools of fish or something like that.
Okay, I think we just froze. I was saying, in Rings of Power, females finally got their representation amongst the orcs. So, I guess there could be female orcs. They did. You didn't notice that?
I did not notice that. I thought you were referencing Galadriel. Wow. I know, like when they were dressed up as the villagers. Is that what you're talking about? Like when they?
No, I just remember there were female orcs. I don't remember exactly when, because I watched all those episodes once and forgot about them for the most part. But
same, yeah.
Yeah, there were female orcs, so they got their representation. I don't know if there were or not. I know that the origin of orcs has been widely debated, and I know there's talk of like twisting elves, right? But Tolkien himself actually said that he basically didn't like that idea, because if they're like, I don't know how to say this, like sentient in a way, then they would have to have some ability to be redeemed. But he didn't want them to have the ability to be redeemed. He just wanted them as bad guys. Sure. So I don't know that he ever truly fleshed it out.
It goes against the kind of social justice push of Rings of Power, when you have what's his face? I don't even remember his name.
The one good actor in the whole show.
Yeah, the father of the Urks.
Yeah,
saying, "Hey, we're just trying to live peacefully. We're just trying to be our own people."
Like, no, you're not. You're orcs.
Yeah,
man.
Well, because Sauron had such a hold on their minds, right? So like when Sauron was destroyed, the orcs just scattered. Like they had no idea what to do with themselves.
Right.
So they didn't have really their own thinking. They didn't have their own. I mean, they did, because we see a lot of conversations, and we see selfishness, we see betrayal in some of those orcs. Gorbag and
definite greed and
greed, sure, but they're still being controlled. Like they still are brainwashed, maybe is the right word for their task at hand. They don't have any other purpose.
Yeah. I don't know how to flesh that one out, honestly. It's just one of Tolkien's loose ends that you get to kind of just decide what you think of it in your own terms.
Maybe they're just clones.
There's Caminos off the coast a little bit.
Yeah. Combine the worlds. Let's do it.
Nice. All right. Last one here. Oh, go ahead.
Have you seen the meme with, do you know, like obviously episode 3, Star Wars, Anakin Skywalker walks in and kills all the Padawans, like all the young Padawans?
Oh, yeah.
So it's Anakin standing there with his blue lightsaber, but instead of on like in Anakin's face, it's Denethor's face. But then the next like panel is all the kids, instead of their faces, it's a tomato on their head.
Oh man, the internet is actually a wonderful thing.
It's so crazy that what people come up with. I just died laughing. It's so funny.
It's incredible. Maybe I don't know how much time I'll have to edit the YouTube side of this, but maybe I'll try to find that meme and put it up on this screen. I love that. Great. Oh man. All right, last one, and we're not going to spend much time on this because we have a whole episode talking about these beings.
Yeah,
and
go
we
listen to the episode,
on that
guys.
Quite a bit. Let's see. I don't. What episode was that? Episode 10.
Concerning eagles. perhaps. I think that's off of what are actually.
Yeah, our document and our Spotify list is probably a little bit different. So we're not going to spend much time on this. Just go back and listen to our episode on the Eagles. It's actually fantastic. We had a great time with that one. And it's an older one.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
Back before we got nice mics, or at least I did. But the question is, why didn't the Eagles just take the ring straight to Mordor? So Sam, summarize it for us.
Well, so first of all, it is episode... it was actually almost completely a year ago. It was September 19th, 2020.
Fantastic.
Or 2022. So
there we go.
But it is our ninth episode. But yeah. So the Eagles are sentient beings. You don't see this in the Lord of the Rings movies at all, which, I mean, I get it. It would probably confuse things and make it more complicated. But the Eagles are their own race, and they don't really have any allegiance to anybody. They obviously don't like orcs. They don't like Sauron and what he's trying to do. So whenever we see them fighting for the good guys. But they're not just air taxis. They're not just going to be airdropping people wherever they want to go, because they've got their own stuff to do. And it's really hard to find the Eagles. Like, they come to you, not the other way around. We can't just yeah, you have Gandalf talking to the moth in the movies, like, hey, go tell him. But really, I mean, their ires are way higher than any man or elf could get to. And yeah, they see through everything, which is kind of crazy. And so they're really just incredible creatures that would not really humble themselves to such a task and risk getting attacked by the Nazgul and everything else.
Yeah, that's a big one, is people don't realize that Sauron had his own air force. And yes, at the end, the Eagles show up and help out. But I don't know that it would have been a great idea for the Eagles to try to just fly it in, because guess what? The Nazgul see you coming. Sauron feels the presence of the ring. You have this big battle. It's like 50-50. Let's hope we can destroy the ring. The reason it worked for Frodo and Sam to destroy the ring by walking it into Mordor is because Sauron had entirely forgotten about hobbits. He didn't see them as a threat at all. And so it was a very sneaky way of destroying the ring. And then also, Tolkien, there's something along the lines of, he just says, like, to somebody who was bugging him about it, he was like, it would ruin the story, shut up. Something just like that.
It was a letter he sent, I think, to somebody, because he said, if that just happened, if they could just be called upon at any point, then there'd be no reason for a story at all. Like, we would, if they were that amazing,
right,
there's no point for anything. But.
Right. Well, and that kind of goes for, if you've looked at a map of Middle Earth, there's this speculation like, well, okay, I guess that it was this great big journey, but why didn't Gandalf just take the hobbits to the ocean on the west coast and just sail down the coast down to like Gondor and just bypass, the first 3 books basically?
Yeah, fair enough. I gotta imagine there's some pretty crazy sea monsters out there, though.
You would think so. You would think so.
If you got Watcher in the Water, you've got some other crazy stuff, I'm sure.
I feel you. Well, that's pretty much all the questions here. Just kind of a fun little episode to just talk some Tolkien. It's been a while since we were able to do this, so I appreciate you jumping on.
Absolutely, this was a lot of fun. I think these are good questions. The quiz was fun as well. That's one thing. It's fun to have an outlet to get some of this out, because nobody wants to hear me when I start talking Tolkien, like at work or with people, my friends hanging out. And so I'm glad we have you, Fellowship, that does hopefully care about us talking Tolkien and find some intrigue in our findings, in our research, because we do spend a lot of time on this. I mean, this one obviously was just a fly by the seat of our pants kind of episode, but we do spend a lot of time on the research, especially when we're doing Children of Hurin, or if we're doing like a specific topic. We spend a lot of time reading through all the different resources and stuff. Yep. And we enjoy it. We definitely enjoy it. But hopefully you guys enjoy it as well and can come up with your own questions for us as well, because these are frequently asked questions that the internet has. But what are your questions? Let us know. Let us know what questions you have. We can make that a segment, even part of the podcast at the beginning. Like, hey, Andrew sent in this question, or Nate has this question, or Caleb has this question. Like, I mean, we'd love to hear from you guys. You can just email those questions or text us if you have our phone numbers, or hit us up on social media, whatever it is.
Yeah, we'd love to hear any random questions, or like we mention every time, the tidings of the fellowship. We'd love to. Oh, this is going to go on YouTube, Sam. So are you okay with little man being on
I'll
YouTube?
keep him
Okay.
faced my
That's up
way.
to you. I'm just wanting to be respectful. Oh, there he is. Move up your
It's my
camera.
little Baron.
Move him up a little bit. You can't see him too well. He's hiding behind the mic. Ah, there he is. Oh my gosh.
He's
hey,
my little
buddy.
bear.
Oh man.
You want to say hi?
He's like, I don't know what
You've
that
got a loud
means,
voice.
Dad.
For those of you listening, I'm holding my
Yes.
I'm holding my 3-week-old baby on my shoulder right
the
now.
eagle
My
just
wife brought him
airdropped
to me.
Baron to Sam.
That's right.
Oh man.
Yes, he just got a glimpse of the hidden city, hidden city Gondolin, so he's having a good time.
All right, Sam. Well, why don't you sign us off here, buddy?
Alrighty, you know what it is. It is time to call for aid, and that's what Gondor is doing. We are Gondor. We're breaking in the halls of Mediceld and shouting, Gondor calls for aid. Will you, Rohan, answer? So if you enjoy the podcast, please like, subscribe, and leave us a review. Again, not just on our podcast, but also on our YouTube channel as well, Well Earned Comforts. We'd love to hear what you guys are thinking, so send in any questions or thoughts you have on whatever you want to talk about Tolkien. We'd love to share that with you guys. You can email us at wecpodcast@gmail.com. We'd love to interact with you guys and be a part of this fellowship as well. So what to expect next time? We don't know. We will figure that out as we get there. You never know where your feet are going to be swept off to. So thank you so much for joining us for some well-earned comforts. But until next time, we bid you a very fond farewell.